What do the numbers mean, like, say, 1 to 9? What do they mean?
You want an interpretation?
Yeah.
Like what the number 1 means?
Yeah.
Okay. An individual, a way forward, defining a path, leadership, all sorts of wonderful things
What
like
about
that.
2?
Number 2 is duality. And I'm giving you the positives, by the way. There are challenges, of course, with all of life. And so, like, for instance, the number 1 might be the challenge of ego, for instance, and having to deal with ego in a way that you're upstanding but without being too egoistical. So number 2 is duality. It's sharing, caring, being supportive. The challenge would be being too dependent, expecting others to do things for you, a little bit grasping. Number 3 would be having fun, communication, wonderful expressions in life. It's also about responsibility, so being responsible for how you create. It's also about managing energy too, I've found over time. It can be a little bit indulgent in its challenge form, too many sweets. If you relate it to things like health, then you might be looking at something like diabetes as being a little bit too overindulgent. And there are like health things that go with these in general, so I'm just giving you the normal interpretation of the simplicity. Number 4, it can be everything needing to be in its place and a place for everything. Literally just that. It's someone who's probably good with filing, someone who's good in the home in terms of practical management of a home, somebody who likes a bit of order and structure. Number 5, and the challenge there would that they'd be probably a bit resistant to change. They could be very stubborn and probably a bit inflexible and a bit rigid. Number 5, a free agent. Likes travel, communication, education, travel and transport would be the departments of life that would be very appropriate in. The challenge would be a bit too much of a free agent, not adhering to the rules, maybe wants to bend the rules a little bit. Need to sort of watch your speed cameras with a fairly strong 5 in your chart. Number 6 would be someone who's very caring, humanitarian type of person. This year, 2013, is the 6th year. So that comes up quite strongly in how we see the community of the world playing out the 6th this year. And that's quite an interesting one for me. And I like the idea of community groups working together, supporting each other, the communities in countries working together. It's also about going back to the basics of what brings you contentment, what brings harmony. And as you've noticed, some of the challenges are around that not happening so much in the world at the moment. People are fighting for it, which is actually probably a bit at odds with what they're wanting. So peace and harmony, goodwill, justice, fair play, all of that goes with the 6. 7 can be fairly idealistic and spiritual, an explorer, to do with history. It could be a bit of the head in the clouds. 7 in challenge can be a little bit wafty, too idealistic and not realistic. And not really having a good grasp on reality too. It's a little bit of an illusory type of scenario. Probably great readers go with number 7 as well. Number 8, very orderly, very structured. Things like government go with number 8. Taxman goes with number 8 too. So somebody who has a good grip, or the number 8 means having a good grip on structure and order. Authority. Someone has it in their chart in a particular place, you might find they've got authority issues. And part of that is so that they grow into their own personal authority. Number 8 is big picture things. Sorry,
I think we're on a number 9.
Sorry, I just missed number 8. I'm thinking number 9, but number 9, yes, big picture. Universal, holding the world in your hand, the world as your oyster even. It encompasses everything. If you add 9 to anything, you get back to what it adds up to. If you add a 9 to a 4, it adds to 13, it comes back to 4. So number 9 enhances anything that it's with. Number 9 as a strong influence in a person's life will have a big overview, big picture idea of what makes the world tick, shall we say, what makes other people tick. They will have a strong knowingness about life. Sometimes those people, when they have it strongly in their chart as the challenge, can be a bit too knowing and not very caring about others who don't know quite as much as them. It's like the world, it's like the universe.
A 0, does that...
Yeah.
How's 0 made?
0 comes into a chart situation, but also it can go next to anything that it gets added to, like an 8 with a 0 ends up being an 8.
Yeah.
And it's the wholeness or the nothingness of whatever it's put alongside. So the 8 being enhanced by a 0, 8 plus 0 gives an 8, so it becomes 80. And it's all of everything that relates to authority. Now, within that, you'd have 81, 82, 83. So each of those numbers has their designated role as well. So when you've got the 0, if you've got it as a challenge, it could be about emptiness. If you put it next to a 2, you've got 20. A 20 can be about a loss, emotional loss, so feeling grief, feeling down about things. So, and if you put it next to a 1, you end up with a 10. And that one can be what goes on inside of an individual. And it might be like trusting your gut feeling, for instance. There's a couple of others that get added onto the line of 1 to 9, and including 10, which then gives us to 11. And 11's a master number. 11, 22 and 33 are master numbers. And when you see those brought into a person's chart or seeing them play out in a person's life, we're talking about a higher octave. So if you've got, for instance, just the number 11 itself, that can be 2 individuals side by side, literally like so. And one of the really good things about that is that they can bounce off each other. They make a good partnership. They meld with each other. They understand each other. And they really work well together. If you have a challenge around that, you might then be brought back just to the level of number 2, which can be a bit of emotional dependence and not really mutually supporting each other or reflecting each other. So people who have master numbers in their chart need to be aware of working at, shall we say, the higher level. We can all work at the lower level, but it does require a little bit more perseverance with the higher level, and to keep that in mind. And that's where a lot of intuitives will have that number 11 working in their chart. And that's part of what I was saying about my abilities with channeling and intuitive understanding of how the numbers work. I've actually got that in my number too. When we get to number 22, it's like the secretary. It's like really a major homekeeper. It could be the housekeeper of a big property, for instance. They know where all of the linen's kept. They know where the cutlery is. And 33, very humanitarian again. It's regarded at times as the number of Christ. And the challenge around that one might be more that they a little bit too, what's that expression? Bit of a doormat, and let people walk all over them. But they're the peacekeeper. They're the ones that bring about justice and fair play. And you might find them in the court system, say family law courts or something like that, in a normal sense of where they would do their work at that higher level. And just in the street, they might just find themselves being, family people and just being the ones that get on well with all their neighbours and just create a sense of harmony and peace.
That's great. Thanks very much, Anne.
Pleasure.
Thank you.